It's Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in the San Fernando Valley today, and we are joined by Alicia Weintraub. She is a councilwoman in Calabasas, where I grew up. Calabasas, I don't live there anymore, but what a wonderful community. And I want to congratulate you. Recently elected to the city council. How's it going?
It's going well, thank you.
Tell us about that prospect. About 30,000 people in the city, is that right?
Exactly.
What made you decide to run for city council?
I love our community.
Right.
My background's in public policy and local government, and I felt that if I was going to commit myself to any community, I'd rather do it where I live and really invest and make a difference.
And let's talk about where you live, because there's no doubt that the folks in Calabasas, if anything, they're vocal. And we know that people move to Calabasas for a reason. It's the ambiance, it's suburbia, but it's close enough to the city. And development always becomes a challenge. How much do you develop? And there was a project near AE Wright, where I went to junior high, off Las Virgenes, called Canyon Oaks. Tell us about Canyon Oaks.
Well, I mean, I think one thing to start, people move to Calabasas because we have a wonderful quality of life.
Of course.
It's safe, we have great schools, there's a true sense of community. So anytime a proposed project comes in, it always generates a significant amount of interest and people on both sides. But Canyon Oaks was unique in the fact that the project was approved by the city council, but residents were really unhappy with the project. And they gathered enough signatures that went to ballot, and they ended up overturning the project.
By a significant margin. It was not close.
No, it was not close.
2/3, I think it was.
A little less, but the referendum succeeded. And so now the developer has to basically go back to the drawing board and come up with another project.
But let's talk more broadly, and you work in public policy. What does this say to you? I mean, this is an issue that gets repeated in cities throughout the state. And so what does this demonstrate? Give me a case study on this.
I mean, I think for this specific project too, it wasn't necessarily, are we going to build here? Because the community really realized that this is zoned for commercial and residential, but what are we going to build here? And there was not a consensus that this was the right project for the site.
Now, were you on the planning commission when this happened?
I was on the city council.
You were already on the city council?
I was already on the city council.
And so what were the concerns?
I mean, the concerns were when the project was approved, because we felt that it was the least intense project for the site. And that's really what we felt. But the residents still felt that the project was too large and that it didn't meet the vision for what they felt for the community. So as a council member, you know, you approve a project based on certain criteria, and that's a little different than what other people might feel about a project. So whether or not a council member might personally feel one way or another, it becomes a little different.
It's tricky.
It's tricky.
So where do you go from here? What have you learned? What has the council learned? Because obviously Calabasas is not fully developed. There is land available. Not a lot, but a good amount.
It's almost completely built out. But what really the takeaway from the Canyon Oaks was that people want to be more involved in the public process. That was the #1 takeaway, that although the applicant felt that he did outreach, it wasn't the type of outreach that built consensus. And for such a large project that...
How large was it? Do you remember?
Yeah, it's about a 16-acre project.
And how many homes? What was it going to...
72 homes. So,
I mean, relatively large, but not 500.
No, but the scope and the location was enough that this site meant something to a lot of people, and they had feelings one way or another that the project before them was not the project that they wanted to see. So as a result of this, we're going to, it's coming before the council, institute a new public engagement strategy.
Okay.
So the goal is that when new projects come before us, before an application is even deemed accepted by our staff, they need to do a public workshop.
I actually recently spoke with Mary Sue Mallory, and she was talking to us about this.
And her and I are the subcommittee on that project.
About she actually showed me a whole detailed list of different public engagement approaches in the 21st century.
Right, and that's something that we're really working on. So the fact that if another project comes forward, people aren't coming to the council and say, I didn't know about it, I wasn't able to give my opinion. So we're gonna have, our goal is that there's a workshop before the project's even deemed complete, and then another one after they go through our architectural review panel. So,
but part of the challenge also is a city does have certain local control over projects, but there's still state requirements, even federal requirements. And so, you know, a community can get angry, but if you're meeting, for example, affordable housing mandates that come down from Sacramento, what can you do?
Well, in certain instances, there isn't anything we can do, but in other instances where you have to grant a general plan amendment and other discretionary reviews, that's where more things can be done. And that's the approach we're going to take. When discretionary actions are being requested, that's when the input really needs to be
So I
taken into
know,
account.
for example, there's a new complex near the Commons called Avanti.
Right.
That is opening soon. It's a significant condo complex.
Right, and some residents are already living in there.
Okay, so, but there was an affordable housing element to that. Did that cause some controversy?
As a result of the affordable housing component, they were allowed to have an increase in height. And height is something very sacred in Calabasas. People really appreciate their views. You know, they don't want the more dense projects. So the Avanti was really a test case in that because it tested the limit. But there was nothing really that the Planning Commission or the council could have done because of the way the state law was written.
But density, isn't that the wave of the future? Density, mixed use?
I think in Calabasas,
it's not.
It's not. I mean, people move there to get away from that.
Right,
you know, they don't want to be an extension of the San Fernando Valley. They want something unique and special. And in certain places, those type of projects will work.
Right.
But
near subway stations, near metro stops.
Right. Exactly. You know.
Right. So let me talk more broadly, though, about what's happening, not just in Calabasas, but generally. What we know is there's affordable housing, that's a term of art, which is housing for lower income folks. And then there's housing that is affordable.
And I like to call that workforce housing for our teachers, our firemen, our police officers, the people that are serving our community. You want to make sure they have an opportunity to live there.
Well, do folks have an opportunity to live in Calabasas? I mean, people go there for the schools, for the way of life.
Right.
Calabasas is expensive.
It is. I mean, there are definitely areas in the community that are less expensive than others, but it is not what you would call as an affordable community.
So,
but there are apartments and condos.
Even in Calabasas Park, there are, I don't know if Las Virgenes.
Absolutely, there's a mobile home park. We do have a variety of housing, and senior housing we have. So, but it's looking at the trends to the future.
So is Calabasas looking at that question? Because look, you have all these great schools. Do you want your teachers having to commute from Oxnard or from Van Nuys? I mean, it could take them over an hour to get there, or your firemen, your whatever it is.
So as we look at the future of our housing, it's definitely something that we will be looking at as well. Something that we've heard from the community too is the need for more senior housing.
Right.
People want to age in place. People want to age in place. They want to stay in Calabasas. We have a wonderful new senior center. People want to stay there. They want to, they want other options than their two-story homes. So having more senior housing, and that's something that we will definitely be looking at.
There's no doubt that Calabasas continues to serve the needs of its community. You must be having quite a time as a member of the Calabasas City Council. Her name is Alicia Weintraub. She's a new member of the Calabasas City Council. Calabasas is my hometown. My parents moved there in 1968. Before it was even Calabasas, it was called Woodland Hills. My name is Brad Pomerance. We're coming to you from the San Fernando Valley. You're joining us on Local Edition.